All right, welcome to day 6. And today we are going to talk about routine. And I know that most women really look at that because most women that I talk to, they always say, oh, I want to build a routine, but I can't be consistent. And I think there's also a lot of confusion about what we need to do to build a routine and what's actually sustainable, what's the best for seeing progress. So I recently made a poll on Instagram about how many times we should train to see progress. And there was at least a couple of women that said we need to train at least 5 times. Is that true?
Not exactly. So that's kind of a multifaceted response. I'm going to assume the bulk of you all are here as beginners. So I'll give you an analogy first, and then it'll make more sense. So everybody here is probably familiar with boiling water, right? You know it boils at a certain temperature. If you've made tea or whatever, once it gets to that point, it's boiled. So there's a certain amount of energy that's required to get it to that point, and that's 100 degrees Celsius, 212 degrees Fahrenheit.
100.
So anything over that, is the water more boiled?
No.
No, it's still boiled, right? That was the point at which it changed from this state to that state. Everything else is a waste of extra energy. There's this similar approach to your training. So especially as a beginner, your body is like that bottle of water, actually like 70% water, so it's a great analogy. There's a certain amount of energy needed to get the result of boiling, and anything over that just is wasted energy. And most people will benefit from 2 days, and then usually on average 3 days. But that comes with the preface of those 3 days are focused and intense towards the goal we're training for. You can go 7 days a week and get less results than the person that's doing 2 because of the intensity and the effort you're putting in with the 4 principles we talked about before. So to just wrap that up, 3 days is what the average science says, and that's anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes of focused training. If you're looking at an intensity level between 1 being easy and 10 being super difficult, 6 to 8. So if you do that, you'll get results in 3 days. 3 days a week. Not in the day. With 3 days a week of focused effort over a long period of time.
Yeah, and it also goes back to sustainability. So I know most women are very busy, and who honestly has time to do 5 sessions, like 5 1-hour sessions a week in the gym? For most people, that's just not sustainable. So you might do this for a week or maybe 4 weeks, but then you're like, oh, I'm getting busy, I can't do this anymore, and suddenly you're fully off track. So it's always better to have an effective approach where the time you're spending in the gym or spending exercises actually get you results and not just make you sweat. And then have an amount of sessions that you can actually maintain for a long time. And if that's just 2 sessions, then really make these sessions count, and you will see results if it's an effective approach. But you definitely don't have to do 5 sessions, and from what I see, I think it's actually, for a lot of women, it's counterproductive, because and it kind of goes back to what you just said, you're exerting so much energy, you're doing so much exercise, but you don't have other things in place to actually refuel correctly, like with your nutrition. So you might actually start burning some muscle also because you don't get enough protein back in. And then your muscles might also get stiff because you don't really look at recovery and resting properly. And something that most people don't really know is our muscles, they don't grow in the gym. They grow outside the gym when we're sleeping, for example, because our body needs to have the rest to put the clay on, right? So if we don't give our body the necessary rest, then that can be a factor why you don't see results, because your body doesn't have the opportunity to actually start putting the shape in. So how can we, what would be steps for us to build a sustainable routine? How can we help these women?
The step 1, I would say, is evaluating your existing routine. And if you don't even have one, then before that is creating one, writing down, like observing what you do on a daily basis, and then just having that awareness of, oh, I wake up at this time, then I do this thing, then I do this, and I have work, whatever. So observing your current routine, and if you do that for at least 1 week, I guarantee you will find gaps of time that you can now decide where you could fit in a sustainable training routine for, be that the 30 minutes 3 times a week or whatever the case may be. And that's where we come in regards to our different training method. Is you could do this at home or you could do this at a gym. So if you really truly only have maybe 30 minutes a day and you don't have that time to get to a gym to do this, and you don't have an apartment gym or something like that, then a home-based routine would be something that fits right into that. So building a sustainable routine starts with understanding what your current routine is and finding fixed times. They have to be the same. They can't be like, oh, on Monday morning I do 30 minutes, then on Wednesday I do 30 minutes here. Try to find the same, because routine means doing the same thing repeatedly. If you can do that, then that means you're more likely to stick with it, because it becomes part of your lifestyle rather than something you just tried on one time and quit. So making it fit into a structure that is sustainable and models or adheres to your existing lifestyle is by far the best way to get started.
Totally agree to that. I think evaluating your day and actually honestly looking at your day where you have these pockets of time, because sometimes we think like, oh, I don't have any time to work out, but I would say that's actually not true. Yes, there might be very few people that are so busy that they really don't have time, but then I would also evaluate like, okay, what's your priorities, like where's your health in your priority list. But that's something for another day. We're actually going to go into that. But yeah, look at what is sustainable for you and just be honest about yourself. And I think what's important is you don't have to, like the belief that you don't have to do 5 sessions, 6 sessions to be fit, to be in shape. Because again, you can see a lot more progress than somebody else who's doing all these crazy workout routines, but because you do the right approach, you can actually see a lot more progress. So maybe to wrap this up, we just mentioned a bit rest and recovery, and I think this is something that a lot of people don't really look into. We just look at, oh, I need to exercise, but as we said, there's so much more to it. And we just dove in the last 2 days, we dove into the nutrition part, so you should have a lot of ideas how to refuel your body in the right way. But what are other things that you can do for rest and recovery that really help us see progress?
The most important, I would say, is tying into that routine is having a sleep routine. So
sleep is important.
Yeah, if you're one of the ones that, I'm guilty of this, it's almost time for bed and you, all right, just a couple more scrolls through social media. And then an hour's gone by and there's no consistent schedule with you going to sleep. That could be literally the first thing. So again, back to what we said, evaluating your schedule, finding out when you want to go to bed, and giving yourself guidelines that I want to be in bed at this time and I want to be asleep by this time, or not mindlessly scrolling or doing social media stuff. And that will do wonders for your recovery and your results, because as your team captain mentioned, you train the body in the gym, but you get the results after you leave the gym and fuel it, and it recovers at night when you sleep to build and sculpt that clay we were talking about. Number 2, which your captain will talk about a little more, is in regards to the relaxation of the body with stuff like foam rolling and stretching and things of that nature.
Yeah, so thanks for the bridge. So yeah, there are certain tools that help us relax the body and basically prepare it well for each workout session. And with preparing, I don't just mean right before the workout, but just in general. So there is something we call foam rolling. So you might all know a massage. You probably have been to a massage before. And so what foam rolling does is very similar as a massage, but you can do it at home with yourself. You only need something like this. So this is a foam roll, and basically what you do is you put it on a muscle. So you would be on the floor, for example, and then put your muscle on it and roll on it. and it rolls out the muscle, helps relax the muscle. And the same thing if we have a massage ball, it helps to just get into smaller areas and go a little bit deeper. So it's really, really important. And I honestly can't stress the importance of this enough. But it's also really, really good tool for a rest and recovery routine.
Facts.
Mic drop. Well, this is it for day 6 then. As always, you have your task in your workbook, so I hope you're still doing it. I know we're nearly 1 week in, and sometimes the motivation goes down a little bit, or you just like to passively watch but don't want to do the work. I totally get that, but I can't stress enough how important it is for you to also reflect and write down the answers to these questions, because it will really help you reflect on what you've been doing so far and then set you up for success in the future going forward from this course. So go into that and make sure you answer the questions. And with that, we see you tomorrow.
See ya.